We are live on Radio Dixie 91.3 FM, the CEC TV, cable channel 108, the high-definition stream, as well as the Dixie State Athletics YouTube stream. Carrick Segmiller, Drayson Ball, and joined now by CSU-Pueblo football radio play-by-play announcer Jim Brooks on the show. Jim, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We're excited.
That's a mouthful you have to remember there on your cue there.
Yeah, that is a lot to read there. But we're excited to have you on the show today and get a little bit different perspective. You know how it is when you interview a coach, especially game week. You're going to get a lot of coach speak. So we're excited to get to know you. Obviously, you're making the trip out and get to hear your perspective on this football game. And first things first, when are you heading out? Are you having to planes, trains, and automobiles? Are you just driving all the way out? How's that working for you?
I'm actually have a high school television broadcast on Friday night. It's a game called the Pigskin Classic here in Pueblo, between Pueblo West and Pueblo County. So I'll do that. Then Saturday we're flying out about 11 o'clock. So flying into Cedar City, then driving on down.
So you do get a little bit of the planes, trains, and automobiles, but that's a full weekend.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Full weekend of football for you. I couldn't think of any better way to spend the weekend there. But let's talk about you just a little bit, Jim, before we jump in and get the listeners and the viewers get to know you a little bit. Again, if you're just joining us, this is Jim Brooks, the CSU Pueblo radio play-by-play announcer. You're coming up on 30-plus years of broadcasting, and this is old hat for you. You've got a lot of experience under your belt. You've been with CSU Pueblo for 10 years this go-around, but back in the day, in your junior college days, you did some basketball as well. What's it like over there at CSU Pueblo? I know you're kind of from that area too, so what's it like calling games for the hometown?
Well, it's my alma mater. I went to college at then USC. We were called University of Southern Colorado. We had a name change to Colorado State University Pueblo, but I graduated in '84, played golf 4 years, and, kind of goofed around the mass comm department, did some stuff on the side there, and then I've worked here in Pueblo off and on in different forms of media since then, even through college. So done the television broadcast now. This will be my 23rd year, I think, doing high school football on our local community access. We do a high school game of the week of 10 years this go around with the Thunderwolves, and about 5 years in the late 80s. So I've been around it quite a while. I'm excited. It's fun. Once we got football back, we knew it was going to be fun up on the hill again, as we call it here in Pueblo, at CSU Pueblo. And the team's been fantastic. Only had, even the first year, they won 4 games, it's kind of unheard of for a new program. Second year, won, I think 7. Then I came on board, and we haven't missed out on a conference title since I've been doing it.
Well, there you go. They found the lucky.
It's kind of fun.
You found the lucky Jim there in Jim Brooks. Yeah, so you caught a lot of wins for that program. Probably hard to pick one season or the other, but there is that one season, the 2014 season. What's it like being part of a national championship team, and what was it like calling that national title game?
It was exciting. It was the most dominating 13-0 rout, if you want to call it, in history. It was just a thoroughly dominating performance by the Thunderwolves defense on that day, and that team was built on defense. And I think that's what the Thunderwolves program has been built on through the years, is defense first, and then run the football and wear people down, and then get to that. But yeah, it was quite a ride that year. I'm not sure that was even the Thunderwolves' best team in history. It sounds kind of stupid to say that when that team won the national title in 2014, but I think the year before, when they got to the quarterfinals, it was a great team. They've had some fantastic teams through the years, and it's just been a pleasure doing them. And every year is a little different. You always just think they're going to it's going to be magical. They're going to be great year in and year out, but a lot of good things have to happen for you to win that title. And that's what happened in 2014. Things just fell their way. They got to play all their playoff games at home, with the exception of course, the national championship game. But it just fell into place that year. We had some tremendous games that year in 2014.
Coach, Jim Brooks, play-by-play radio announcer for Colorado State University Pueblo, here joining us live on Trailblazer Weekly. Jim, obviously you mentioned it's been a fun ride for you for this time you've been with the team. Just one losing season since they reestablished the football program back in 2008. What, in your opinion, what's the key to the continued success for this team? I mean, head coach John Riston obviously has done a phenomenal job over there. What have you seen over the 10 years or so that you've been over there with the team? What's their key to success?
Well, it starts right there at the top with Coach John Risson. He started the program back up, built it from scratch. He is a former Thunderwolf, although he was an Indian in his day. John and I have grown up together since high school, so he's a product of then USC, graduated in '84 as well. But he's had a lot of different stints along the way. He's had major college experience, was under Gary Barnett's system at CU, and they had some of their great years. I was just watching the CU-Texas game the other night when they beat him for the Big 12 title, as a matter of fact. But, he's had experience there. He was at Northwestern with Coach Barnett. He's been at UCLA, so he's had a wealth of experience. He knows how to recruit. He knows how to treat guys right. And the thing that he's built the program on is defense. And their defense, year in, year out, it's almost comical. My partner and I, Joe Serby, we always talk about it. Every year there'd be 3 or 4 hotshot teams in the RMAC that have these great offensives with, video game numbers. And Thunderwolves, until they meet the Thunderwolves, and then the Thunderwolves shut them down. It's very tough to make a living playing offense against the Pack, and that's where they've built it on. The thing that's exciting this year is the Thunderwolves actually they give you kind of a hint of having some spread you out speed on the edges with their offense, but it remains to be seen about that. They have kind of a change in philosophy offensively. The last couple of years, they've gone more to the spread like everybody else is. It used to be the Thunderwolves their first, few years under John Risson was just, running the I formation and just wear you out, run the ball, double tight end set. It was all power, play action pass, hit you over the top. Now they're not afraid to spread you out, and they have the weapons, and the key is they have quarterbacks this year, 2 quarterbacks that we haven't seen really with CSU-Pueblo that are able to run the option, run the football, get out on the edge, plus they can also sling it. In years past, we've had one or the other. We've either had just a straight drop back passer, or we've had a guy that could just maybe run it and not really throw the ball. So this year, I think we've got 2 guys that can do both, can really run the ball well, plus pass it, and they've got the weapons on the edges. They've got great backs. It should be exciting.
Yeah, you mentioned the great backs. I mean, obviously Austin Michie comes in as probably one of the best running backs in the conference, if not in the nation, backed up by Marcus Lindsey, another tremendous guy. Let's go back to your defense a little bit. You mentioned, this team is based off of defense. Obviously it's got to have been fun for you last handful of years. You've put a bunch of guys into the pros, at least a handful of guys into the pros the last couple of years on that defensive end. Most recently, Deion Sizer last season. Graduated for you, now playing for the Broncos. What's it been like for you to kind of get to know those guys that have you sent into the pros, and kind of just talk a little bit about why defense is so important to the head coach over there?
Well, the guys that are in the pros that are still getting paid for a living were on the line. You're talking about guys, Pennell with the Patriots now, and has been with the Jets, been with the Packers. Fox is with the Rams, playing on the defensive line. Of course, Sizer, defensive line. He was an undrafted guy. He was kind of a training camp invitee. He surprised them enough there to get an invite to the regular mini camp. Surprised them there. They actually cut him, but then brought him back, and now he's made the practice squad. So that's how much they think of him. So he's a great one along the defensive front. They've got a guy this year that John Risson thinks might be better than all of them, and Trey Botts. He'll be a guy to watch. He'll be number 92 for the Thunderbolts, and he's right there in the middle of their line. But I think it starts up front for the Pack. They like to push you around. They don't want to have to blitz a lot. They want their defensive line to control you, and then it frees up their linebackers just to nail you. And they've always had great cornerbacks. And one of their greatest cornerbacks was also in the pros for a little bit, C.J. Roberts, but he's not playing now. But they just build from the inside out. They want to have a great defensive line, get a push, handle you up there, and then it frees everything else up. And it's just been remarkable, the defense they've played through the years.
We're chatting with CSU football play-by-play announcer Jim Brooks here on Trailblazer Weekly, and Jim, you've given pretty good analysis of it already, just in answering some of our other questions. But what were your first impressions when the Thunderwolves got into camp this year, and then running throughout practice, and now ready for game week?
Well, the first thing that strikes you is the 2 quarterbacks are able to just get out. They have a different gear. compared to the quarterbacks we've had in the past. Now, A.J. Thompson, he can run it a little bit, but he wasn't passing the ball wasn't really his strength. But these two guys they've got this year. Gunnar Lamphere has actually won the job. Everybody thought the job would go to Jordan Kitna, who, of course, is the he's got the bloodlines of Kitna. His father was played for the Cowboys and is a coach now. But Jordan got beat out. He's only a sophomore, but it's almost like quarterback 1A and 1B. Lamphere is going to get the start. But I'm sure you'll see a little bit of Kitna. Kitna can throw the ball from a variety of angles. I mean, he's great throwing the ball on the run. One thing Lamphere's improved on, he's always been a great runner, but he can pass the football. He looks great right now in the pocket. And the thing that strikes you right now for the Thunderwolves, that when you look at their camp, is the size of their wide receiving core. Now, last year, they had little scat backs running the outs, and it was just little guys running up and down the field as far as the wide receivers. This year they have some great size. Nick Williams, great speedster. He's out of Cherry Creek High School in Colorado Springs. Or in Denver, rather. He's a sophomore. Amon Johnson, a sophomore, also out of Cherry Creek. But they brought in a couple of guys. Deontay Sykes has been battling a little bit of a hand injury in camp. He's a transfer that they've brought in. He is dynamite looking to be wearing number 5, so be watching for him. But a guy that's really been impressing in camp is Jamon O'Neal. He wears number 85. And they've got a wealth of wide receivers that are big but fast as well. So it's going to be tough, I would think, for corners and the safeties in this conference to handle them. Just in thinking in years past, they're just not those little guys running around. But plus, it starts with the Thunderbolts like it always does. They got to run the football, and they've got a wealth of backs. And of course, you mentioned Michi. He's kind of he's kind of a little guy in height only, but he's like a bowling ball. And then Marcus Lindsay. Now, Marcus Lindsay, of course, is going to be familiar to your listeners and viewers. Philip Lindsay is his older brother that plays for the Broncos, kind of the undrafted free agent, and he's just a younger version of Philip. He's a little bit beefier, I would think, maybe built a little bit more low to the ground, but he does have that great speed. And they've got another back they brought in this year, another transfer, DJ Pennick. It looks incredible. So it's just not the one bell cow approach. They're going to come at you with a variety of guys running the football, and they're two quarterbacks. I'm just excited about it. I'm excited to see how they are. Now, the problem with the Thunderbolts this year, their schedule is murderous in the first month of the season. Of course, got to go down to you guys. That's a tough place to play. Got to go to Shadron. That's what they call the red letter game. That's the big rivalry game that John Risson established when he started the program back up. Then Mines comes in here, the perennial power in the conference. They've had great games in years past, played twice last year, once in the playoffs. And then Texas A&M Commerce comes in. So the first 4 games for the Thunderbolts are going to be telling. I think they're built for success. There remains to be seen, though. You have one little hiccup in this first month, you could be staring at a loss or two. So it's a big challenge for them.
Jim, just wanted to ask you about this, Dixie State CSU-Pueblo series, specifically. It's only 3 games old, so it's not very old. Only 3 matchups to go off of. Of course, CSU-Pueblo has won all 3 of those football games. Some might look at it and say, that this series hasn't been very competitive. There's lots of different ways to measure what is competitive. I'm a BYU guy. I'm going to be honest. And the question, about that rivalry, BYU and Utah is, Utah's won the last 9 games. So, no more moral victories for us BYU fans. But Dixie State, CSU Pueblo, we don't really want to do moral victories. But in my view, I've was on the road in 2016, in a fumble right before halftime goes the other way for a touchdown. That ends up just an 11-point game. 2017 here in St. George, it's a 17-10 game late in the third quarter, and then the wheels kind of fell off for Dixie State in the fourth. And then last year, just all sorts of things went wrong, and a very dominant CSU Pueblo team won that football game. But in terms of looking at this young 3-game series, what have you seen in these 3 games? And, have you seen it as, competitive football games off and on?
Well, I can tell you this, John Risson's scared to death of this game. The series in general, the trips down there have been the trip down there, I should say. I mean, going into that game, they knew they were going to be in for a dogfight. You just look at Dixie's ball club; they've got athletes everywhere. This year, the thing that you have to worry about, it's a new ball club. You got a new coach. You got all these. It looks like Snow Junior College extended.
Yeah, a lot of guys from
these
Snow
guys
on the
from Snow
squad
coming in. So we'll see what they bring to the table. You're bringing in two grad transfers or just plain transfer quarterbacks that have had big time experience. You just don't know what you're going to see. You don't have anything to go off of when you go up against them. And it does look like, just looking down the roster, looked like there was quite a bit of cleaning house, I guess you'd say. Maybe a lot of, I don't know if they call it deadwood, but there were guys that weren't going to buy into the new philosophy, it looks like. You got a lot of freshmen, it looks like, down that roster. But the thing is, with you guys jumping the D1, you're going to get a certain type of kid that's going to come in there that has thoughts of glory. So I know the Thunderwolves are taking this game very seriously, and they know it's going to be a struggle. They know they cannot afford to just come in and, just roll the footballs out there and hope things take care of themselves. And I would imagine it'll be a late third, fourth quarter ball game. That's the way it's always been, with the exception of the game last year. Like you said, things just kind of got away from last year. But the first two ball games against Dixie have been very good competitive football games, and I would expect the same on Saturday night.
That's what we're hoping for, Jim. We're hoping for a really good game as well. Wanted to get your thoughts. One, real quickly, running short on time here, about 30 seconds. You mentioned Dixie State's going Division I. Have you noticed that any sort of extra incentive for CSU-Pueblo in the fact that they can go in and beat a team that is going to Division I? Just in 30 seconds while we have you here.
I don't think they think of that at all. I think they know, just from playing you guys the last 3 years, they know what they're going to be up against. They know they're going to be experienced people at the places you want experience at the skill positions, and they know they have to really take care of business. They need to run the football. Don't turn the ball over. Let things take care of themselves. Play pack football, and I think they'll be all right. But they know they're up against it.
Jim, appreciate you stopping by. Like I said, we're up against the break. We got to run to the break, but Jim, appreciate you stopping by, and we'll see you on Saturday.
You got it. Looking forward to it. Thanks.